Hi everybody, it's Catherine from In the Pink Designs. My project today is a window box that measures 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 by 1 inch, and it pulls open like this, and it holds about 12 Hershey Kisses, but you can put whatever you like in there. You can also push it, but I really like how this little pull looks. I use the Bewitching bundle, which is the Bewitching stamp set and the Witch Hat Builder Punch, and if you buy them together you get a 10% discount. This is my host code for September. If you're going to spend anything under $150, please put this in, and then I can put all the orders together and get Stampin' Rewards and send everybody a little something. I also used Best Witches for the sentiment and the stylish shape dies for the label and the hole for the window. Alrighty. Okay, so what we need today, not too much stuff. We need a piece of basic black for the tray that is 4 3/4 by 4 3/4. We need a strip of Gingham Cottage DSP, which goes around the outside, that is 8.5 by 2 7/8. We need some basic white for stamping. We need a piece of window sheet that is 2.5 by 2.5. You can also get these from your packaging, and the stamps have this on them. When the photopolymer have one of these on it when you first get them, so I saved those two so I don't have to buy the window sheets. We need a piece of Daffodil Delight for the sentiment and a piece of basic black that is 7/8 by 2 5/8. And what I did with that is I put that as a double piece inside where I'm going to have this pull, just to make it extra strong so it doesn't pull out. Alrighty. Okay, so let's start with our piece of basic black that is 4 3/4 by 4 3/4. Now this is one of the easier boxes to make. There's not much scoring. You pretty much just take care of it by hand, most of it. All right, so doesn't matter what side you start on, you're going to score at 1 on all 4 sides. So I just score it and give it a 1/4 turn and score it until I'm all the way around. Okay, and that's it for scoring with the scoreboard for now. Okay. So then we're going to fold and burnish. Okay, and this is what we're going to do. All right, so all we're going to do, it doesn't matter where you start. I'm going to start on the lower left, and I've said this before, but in case you're new, I'm going to go to the first score line. And I'm going to leave that score line attached to the square. So I'm going to go past the first score line, just to the other side of the score line, and cut it up to the first score line. And then I'm going to wedge each side of the square, which takes off that score line there, so it's not stuck on the side of your rectangle here, and it just makes it a little bit of a neater box. All right, so we're going to turn it a 1/4 turn, go to the first score line, cut it up to the first score line, and wedge each side of the square. Okay, 1/4 turn. Remember, I go just to the other side of the first score line so I can cut it off of the square, up to the first score line, and then wedge each side of the square. Piece stuck there. There we go. And then a 1/4 turn, and the same thing. Okay, and that's what your cardstock's going to look like after you're done scoring and cutting it. All right, now I'm going to get some tear and tape, and I'm going to put 2 pieces on each tab, one close to the score line and one close to the edge. I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool, and I'm going to take one side off the backings. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the top of the tab where the score line is and match it with the side of the rectangle. Same top of the score line top of the tab where the score line is with the side of the rectangle. And do it all the way around. Okay, and that's the tray of the box. All right, now we're going to put it with the opening facing down, and we're going to take our piece of Gingham Cottage DSP that is 8.5 by 2 7/8, and we're going to place it about in the middle on top of our tray. And I want you to just mark where the bottom is. Oops. And just make a line. Okay, and then take it off of your box and make sure that it's straight by matching up the sides here, and then burnish it. And do the same for the other side. Okay, and then that matches nicely. So what we're going to do is put it with the top down. Put your tray in between those two score lines here, and then pull it around and make the same marks on the back parts. And then do the same thing, just make sure that it's straight. And then burnish it. Okay. Before we attach it to the tray, what we're focusing on is this square that's in the middle. Alrighty, and I'm taking this die from the Stylish Shapes dies, which is 2 1/8 inch. Okay, and I'm going to use the score lines and the two edges and just get it, eyeball it to be centered. And then I'm going to attach my tape, and then I'm going to cut it out, and I'll be right back. Okay, and then I'm just going to gently peel it off, and then you can use this for another project. Alright, so we have our circle. So now flip it over and get our piece of window sheet, and we're going to put it on right like that. So I'm going to put glue dots all around. Put one in each corner. And then one in the middle of each one. You don't have to be put this many on, but I usually like to secure it. I don't think, even with just 1 in 4 corners, I don't think that the kisses will come out. Okay. And then, remember, this is on the underside, and we're just going to press this on. Okay. Now we're going to take our box, flip it over, and get some liquid glue. Decide which side you want on the top, and just put a little bit, just one strip of glue. You don't want it to go to this edge or all the way to these edges, because we don't want it to squirt out and get attached to the actual box. So I'm just going to put that little bit, and then just rub it on. Make sure it's even. Make sure that you didn't squeeze it too tight so that it won't move. And I just want it to set before I take it out. Good. Okay. Alright, and then we're just going to take our box out. And I'm going to get my small hole punch, and whichever part you want to make the front, I'm going to go put a small hole in the middle both ways, from that way and from the top to the bottom. This is a 1/8 inch. I have seen them around, but if you wanted to do a 1/4 inch, all you'd have to do is probably use a thicker ribbon. Alright, and then what I'm going to do, this is our extra piece of basic black that is 7/8 by 2 5/8, and it will fit in there without showing. All right, so I'm going to put a little bit of glue on each side of it. Don't go where the hole is because I don't want your hole punch to get all sticky. And just put it in there and let it dry a minute. If anything squeezes out, just get it with the tissue, because we don't want anything to get stuck to it, any candy or any the box either. Okay, then you're just going to go over that same hole and punch it again. Alrighty, now if you have a punch that will go through two at once, you don't have to go through that step. You can just glue it and then punch it, but I know this one has a hard time. It takes a lot of muscle and I just don't want to do that. Okay, and this just gives it so that this ribbon won't pull the box out of shape or pull out. All right, so then I'm going to take a small piece of black and white gingham ribbon. I'll tell you 1 second. It's about 6.5 inches. I'm going to put a knot on this end here, the loose end, or the open end, let's say. Okay, you can trim this nice so it doesn't have any bits coming off. And I'm going to take the ribbon and poke it from the inside to the outside, and then you'll have a nice pull for your box. All right, there you go, and then you can just pull it and it will open like that. Okay, so now let's let that sit a bit and we'll do some stamping. Okay, so we need some basic white and a scrap of Daffodil Delight. All right, first I'll do the sentiment, and this is from Best Witches stamp set, and it says Best Witches. Let me put it down here. Make sure there's nothing on the edges. Good. Okay. And then I'm going to use, oops, it's off to the side, this witch hat from Bewitching stamp set. You might have to use your stamp apparatus because this is a really solid image. It's not bad, but I did one on the stamp apparatus, so I'm going to use this one. This one is 3 times on the stamp apparatus and it gets it nice and dark. Okay. Alright, and then we're just going to cut it out with the Witch Hat Builder Punch. I'll probably have to trim this here. And I'm just going to shoot for having an even amount of border. And there we go. Okay. Now I'm just going to do a little bit of coloring. Only using 2 Stampin' blends. I'm using dark pumpkin pie and dark Daffodil Delight. And I'm going to do pumpkin pie on the strips, on the hat band, the stripes. And dark Daffodil Delight for the buckle. Okay, and that's it for the witch hat. Pretty easy. Okay, now for the sentiment. This is from Stylish Shapes Dies, and obviously it's too big, so I'm just going to put it where I want it with the sentiment to either the left or right. And I'm going to put some tape on it. And then I'm going to cut it out. And I'll be right back. Okay, I'm going to pull the tape off. And now to make it shorter, what I'm going to do, now this has the nice little stitching holes there, so I'm going to put it down around where I want it, and then just move it until you feel that it is nice and set, because it will kind of go into the holes that are there. And then put your tape on it and cut it again. You get a smaller label. And then you have this little guy. It's kind of cute. You could put it as an embellishment on something if you wanted to. Now they do have, this one here is too small, and this one is too short, and this one is too fat. So I just made my own with this one. Or you could just cut it by hand if you want to. And you could also, for the window, if you don't have the Stella Shapes dies, you could use a regular punch. But I do, or any other die, I do kind of like how, I don't know if you can see, the stitching from the, on the opposite, on the negative from the dies, it comes out. It looks really nice. All right. Okay, so now here's our box. And I'm going to put the best witches towards the bottom here. I have the little tag flag over the edge a little bit, and I'm just going to put a little bit of glue because I don't want it to squeak out all over our window. And if you do have a problem with that, usually alcohol can take it off. And what I'm going to do is just put it down. There's about 1/8 of an inch below it. And then I'll put it right like that. Okay, and then I'm going to get dimensionals for my hat. And I'm going to definitely put 3 because you're holding it to pull it, so I don't want it to get loose. Let me just pull this out so I can really push this on. And I'm going to take my backings off of the dimensionals, and I'm just going to have it kind of brush the top of the sentiment and have the tip of the hat stick off just a little bit. Alright, so now let's get our kisses. These were I got from Walmart. I think they were $3.29. And I'm going to put the orange ones in this project. If you want all orange foil, I think you have to get the pumpkin spice ones. And we're not a pumpkin spice family. I think my daughter likes the lattes, but that's it. They don't like it in other things. Okay, I'm just going to slip it on. Like that. I'm going to take some Wink of Stella and I'm going to put it on the buckle. You could put it on the black of the hat if you wanted to. I don't know if you can see it. Not really on there. Sorry. Okay. And I'm going to get some of the 2022 to 20, nope, it's 21 to 23 in color opal rounds. And I'm going to use the Evening Evergreen and the sticky side of my Take Your Pick tool. And I'm going to put one right there, a smaller one kind of next to it, maybe up here a little bit. There we go. And a bigger one down farther. And that's it. It's really not too difficult. It's pretty quick, especially if you're going to mass produce them. And you could always switch to a punch for the circle opening, and you could do this by hand if you don't want to cut all of those out by die cut with a die. If you want to just sit, watch TV, and punch away. If you have any questions, my email is below. The link to my shop to purchase these products. Don't forget, this is the host code for anything under 150. And also the link to my blog that has all of the measurements. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, and I will see you next time. Have a great day. Bye.